Hello and welcome, my dear friend. There's something sacred about being seen for who you really are. Not for what you can do, not for the mask you've had to wear in certain rooms, but for the quiet way you've been living when no one was around. And that's exactly what's been happening in the unseen. Heaven has been watching you closely, not to judge you or keep score of your mistakes, but to notice the way you keep showing up with integrity, even when it seems nothing is changing. To notice the way you keep choosing love over and over. Not the sentimental kind, but the kind that costs something. Unlike most people, you've carried yourself in a way that doesn't shout for attention. You haven't shrunk your life down to appearances or chased rewards the world hands out. And that way of living, it whispers to heaven, "You can trust me with more." And here's the truth. God has already trusted you with more than you realize. But it's easy to overlook something sacred in a society that values surface-level desires over lasting peace. The kind of peace that no amount of money, human affection, or shallow, fleeting pleasures can truly give. Those things may make you happy for a moment, but the feeling fades just as quickly. You know, you've been entrusted with moments that could have broken you, with assignments disguised as ordinary days, with responsibilities other people might have dropped, because the weight was heavier than the reward. You didn't drop them. You carried them in silence, without turning them into a performance. You didn't need an audience to validate the faithfulness you've been living out. Most people don't realize this. Being trusted by God rarely looks like a stage or a title at first. It often looks like long stretches of endurance, where you learn to hold things steady, even when no one notices. You've lived that. You've been the quiet, steady in places where other people's storms could have swallowed you whole. You've chosen self-control over retaliation and compassion over ego, not because it was easy, but because your spirit knew it was right. That's maturity in its finest, and heaven counts that. I want you to think about the last season you walked through, the one that felt heavier than what you signed up for. The way you had to keep your spirit clear even when it didn't feel fair. The way you gave without knowing if anything would come back to you. Those weren't wasted days, they were proving grounds. Every act of restraint was a seed. Every moment you chose not to harden was an investment in a future you couldn't see yet. And you've been consistent in ways most people will never fully understand. You've prayed without answers. You've forgiven without apologies. You've stayed when you could have walked away. You've walked away when staying would have destroyed you. All of that speaks to God louder than any song or speech ever could. Because it's not about what you say you believe, it's about the life you live when no one is looking. The beautiful part is, you haven't been doing any of this to earn God's approval. You've been doing it because it's who you are. And that's the exact reason heaven trusts you with more. Not because you're perfect, not because you never doubted, but because, even in your doubt, you kept moving in the right direction. That trust? It's not going anywhere. And if you know someone who needs that same reminder, let this be the way they hear it. Like and share, because someone out there needs to know they're not walking through this alone. Let me remind you, God doesn't build on unstable ground. He builds on steady hearts, and yours has proven to be just that. You might not feel extraordinary most days. You might even wonder if the way you've been living really matters. But heaven knows, and heaven has already decided this one can be trusted with more. I want you to picture something with me for a moment. In some old villages, there's a person whose job is to carry a single lantern through the streets at night. Not to light the whole city, not to set every home ablaze with brightness, just to make sure the flame doesn't go out. It's not glamorous. Nobody stops them to say, "Thank you." Most people are asleep while they do it. But if that one flame dies, the whole town wakes up in the dark. You've been that lantern bearer, walking your path, holding on to the light God placed in you, even when the road has been quiet, even when it would have been easier to set the lantern down and blend into the dark like everyone else. And the thing about lantern bearers, They're trusted with the first sparks when it's time to light the next season. That's exactly where you are now. Because what God has been building in you isn't just for you. The discipline, the humility, the steady heart, they're the foundation for something that's going to affect people you haven't even met yet. You may have thought this season was about getting through or waiting for your turn, but it's been about being shaped into someone who can be handed something precious without breaking it or misusing it. And I'll be honest, God doesn't hand out influence, favor, or breakthrough casually, not because He's withholding, but because He knows what mishandled blessings can do. They can crush a person who isn't ready. They can harm the very people the blessing was meant to help. But you've proven over and over again that you can carry the weight without turning it into a crown you worship. You've shown that you can have access without arrogance. That's rare, and heaven knows it. Think back on the doors that stayed closed when you thought they should open. At the time, it felt like rejection. Now you can see it was protection. God was keeping you from stepping into rooms that would have drained the life out of you before you even began. That's what trust looks like from heaven's side. Not just giving you what you want, but guarding you until you can handle what you're made for. And here's the thing about God's timing. It often shows up disguised as all of a sudden. People will look at you and say, it happened overnight. But you and I both know, those nights were years long. Every unseen choice, every quiet act of obedience, every time you bit your tongue when your pride wanted to speak, they've all been building to a moment where God can say, now, hand it to them. And when that moment comes, it won't be a slow trickle. It will be a release, the kind where you realize every detour and delay was part of a straight line only God could draw. This next part is important. When heaven trusts you, it also positions you. Sometimes that means being moved to the front of the line without warning. Other times, it means being seated at a table where the conversation is already in your favor before you even open your mouth. You don't have to strive for this. You don't have to force people to see you. The same God who has been watching you in the unseen knows exactly how to make you visible at the right time. And when He does, it won't just be visibility. It will be credibility, because trust isn't built in public. It's revealed in public after it's been forged in private. So, if you're feeling that strange mix of restlessness and peace right now, that's the sign. The restlessness is your spirit knowing something is about to move. The peace is your spirit knowing you're ready for it. And you are ready, not because you have all the answers, not because you've done everything perfectly, but because when it mattered most, you didn't let go of the light. If you remember one thing from today, let it be this. Walk into this next season with the same integrity you carried in the last. Keep your lantern steady, because the path you're about to light isn't just yours anymore. It's going to guide others too. And when they see that light, they won't just see you. They'll see the one who trusted you to carry it. Your turn has come up. And heaven is already smiling, knowing exactly what you'll do with it. And before we finish, I want to share something with you. As a musician, I've started a second channel, Simplified Serenity, with soaking worship instrumentals for prayer, stillness, and deep rest. If you felt peace here today, take it with you into your own quiet time with God. The link's in the description. I'd love to see you there.